amused me in a way.
You know, I've watched what happened here. You know, you had millions of people from Hungary, Czechoslovakia, Yugoslavia, which then later broke away a little bit. All of them suddenly put under the heel of Russia in one fortnight, really. And don't you think that if this was just an honest mistake, it would have they would have made one mistake in our favor? It didn't seem like there was any benefit to humankind out of this.
But you've got to understand also that agreements were made at Yalta, where Stalin, he agreed that he was going to hold free elections. Now, this is what I say, is that we trusted Stalin too much.
But he did hold free elections. Despite
the experience from 1928 on, or you might say from the very beginning of the communist regime in Russia, November 1917, how could we have trusted an individual like Stalin?
Yeah.
And this is what I call the gullibility of Roosevelt, you see, of putting his trust. Well, you say they had elections. They were not free elections. They were controlled elections.
You're right.
And it was obvious, to me at least, that they were not going to follow through on free elections.
Of course, didn't Stalin, and you can correct me here, and I'm sure you know better than I do, but didn't Stalin say that all he had to have in a country was the head of the internal police, and the country would be his within a few years? And that's what he did in Czechoslovakia.
Well, that was true. That was true in Russia from the very beginning, you might say. You know, the organization of the NKVD, the MVD, and then, of course, the KGB, which is, of course, the present secret police. And the same kind of a situation exists in every country which is under Soviet control.
So he sounded very humble. He said, just give me one cabinet post, the head of the secret police.
That's right.
And you take everything else.
Well,
but from that one post, Ortega in Nicaragua was originally head of the police.
That's correct. That's correct.
And from that post, of course, because what can you do when the police starts hauling you off into the camps?
Well, you've got to remember that every communist country is a police state.
So how long are we going to fall for that trick?
Well, of course, I have a feeling personally that there's going to be some change in the next 15, 20 years in Russia. I think Russian history tells us that a time comes when the cup runneth over. Russian history is replete with attempts to overthrow the government.
How long did Roosevelt live after Yalta?
Exactly 6 weeks.
So really,
he died on the 12th of April, 1945. Interestingly enough, when I came back, I had been a voter in Texas, and I used to go quite often